The chair of the DA's Federal Council, Helen Zille, is out campaigning in Soweto. Let's get the latest. Our reporter, Mbalenhle Mthethwa, joins us. Now, Mbali, thank you so much for your time. So it's been a busy day for the DA with, the party leader in KZN, with the KZN premier candidate out campaigning in Ntuzuma in KwaZulu-Natal. Just talk to us about what is happening where you are.
Well, like you said, the DA federal chair is here in Soweto ahead of what is going to be a rally here in Soweto, where they are going to be launching the provincial manifesto and speaking to the residents on the promises that Solly Msimanga, who is the DA's provincial candidate in Gauteng, has to offer or will offer the people should they vote for him. It's a race against time. The elections are just 7-8 days away right now, and in fact, I mean, the DA in the province goes into these elections with somewhat of a shadow hanging over its head, and you will know that Tshwane has been in the headlines for a number of reasons. Some of those outcome that is unfavorable, which has indicated that 10 billion rand, this was last year, had been unaccounted for. There were also allegations that the financials for last year were not handed over to the Auditor General, and we also have that unfortunate incident that took place in Hammanskraal, and these are the things that are hanging over the DA's head, and the Gauteng premier candidate will have to convince residents that they are indeed going to address service delivery and will serve the people better in Gauteng. I'm joined by Helen Zille, who is the federal chair. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. I see you are here, and this is obviously a sign of confidence in your premier candidate, Solly Msimanga. Talk to us about why he is your choice for Gauteng.
Well, Solly Msimanga and I go back 20 years. I first met him when he was on the DA's Young Leaders program. I think it was the first Young Leaders program we ever had. And he searched South Africa high and low for the brightest and the best blue people. And by blue, I mean who share the same values: non-racialism, constitutionalism, the rule of law, growing economy. Those are the blue. And Solly came very high up, and he made it onto the Young Leaders program, which is very difficult to do because there are many applicants in few places. And I got to know Solly there because I do a lot of training on the Blue Young Leaders program. So that's when I got to know Solly. And over the years, he's been blue and true. He's been with us, he's stuck with us, he's taken the hard knocks, which you get in politics. He has had staying power, he's got a backbone, and he's got the heart of a lion. So Solly has got what it takes, and that is why I have a lot of confidence.
Certainly, he's got a tough task ahead of him, trying to convince our residents of Gauteng after what has happened in Tshwane, and we know that Tshwane has been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons, really. Last year was the audit outcome, the adverse audit outcome. This year is the allegation that financials were not handed over to the Auditor General. These are all the concerns that have happened, and these have somewhat raised concerns as to whether, the DA can lead another province outside of the Western Cape.
Well, Solly hasn't been the mayor of Tshwane since about 2017. So it's very unfair to blame what's going on now on Solly Msimanga's term as mayor of Tshwane. He had an incredibly difficult coalition to run. Coalitions are hellish. It was a very difficult coalition to run. He relied on the EFF, which was a fake mistake that he made in 2016. And he had to do that, and he did his best under those circumstances. The crisis of the finances today have nothing to do with Solly Msimanga. The ANC put Tshwane under administration in about 2019, and they looted Tshwane. And ever since then, we've been trying to rebuild with quite a lot of corrupt officials in the administration. We're trying to rebuild a system that works, get the money that ratepayers and businesses owe late to turn it round.
Now, there have been harsh criticisms following the ousting of former Johannesburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse against the Democratic Alliance and the decision-making process. Some former coalition partners in the city of Johannesburg accused the DA of undermining democracy and making decisions at the federal level and ignoring the democratic processes and the voting processes that had taken place in council. And the other accusation is that the mayoral candidate, Dr. Mpho Phalatse at the time, was abandoned by the Democratic Alliance at the time. I mean, I have been wanting to ask you this question for a long time. Happened a while back, but I think it would be interesting to get your thoughts on this.
There is no party with as robust and accountable a democratic system as the DA. In every single party, caucuses don't take decisions on coalitions. It becomes major party policy to have decisions on coalitions. Obviously, when many other parties are involved, and there are many things at stake, such as will we be able to apply our policies? Will we be in a coalition that is stable enough to govern properly? Are we with partners of integrity? All of those are decision-making things that have to happen at the provincial level and at national level. But Dr. Mpho Phalatse was not excluded. She was specifically invited to all the FedExes where those issues were discussed. And she put her case, and we listened to her case, and we took the case very seriously. FedEx and the DA decided that we are not going to be extorted by other parties who run from one big party to another, who run from the ANC to the DA to the ANC, and try and extort us to get more seats or get more power or get more access to tenders from each side and switch their support on that basis. The DA doesn't go in for extortion and bribery politics. We go for the politics of integrity. And when we see that we've got partners that don't make that possible, discussed at great length, was there to state a case. The other people were there, Solly Msimanga was there, provincial leadership was there, and then we take a decision. That is how internal democracy works.
Now, when it comes to, there's also been criticisms with how the DA manages its relationships with coalition partners, almost as though it is the big brother and everyone else is the smaller brother and hands down instructions to the other different parties. Now, should Gauteng go into a coalition, do you think you would be able to manage those relationships better so we don't see a repeat of what we've seen in council, a breakdown of coalition arrangements and agreements in the middle of the 5-year term?
Make an assumption that I would like you to give me proof for. When have we handed down instructions to our coalition partners?
Well, these were allegations that were brought by some of the coalition partners.
You stated them as facts.
My apologies. There has been some criticism by some of your coalition partners in the past. The first question was that they have criticized the Democratic Alliance for making decisions at its federal committee and handing down the decision all the way to the bottom. But there's been another criticism, and the criticism is that the DA allegedly behaves as a big brother.
Well, we don't. If you can't provide an example of where we have, then I can't take those allegations seriously. Allegations are thrown up and down in politics, and if I took every single allegation and put it seriously, there would be such a weight on my back that I wouldn't be able to write it.
There you have it. That is a DA federal chairperson speaking to us, Helen Zille, on the sidelines of a rally where Solly Msimanga, premier candidate, will be addressing the matter ahead of the upcoming elections. It's back to you.
My colleague there, Mbalenhle Mthethwa, of course, in a noisy background there as the DA campaigns in Soweto.